Hey, welcome back to the Exercise of the Week with Charlie Marlowe, our exercise coordinator. Charlie, what do you have for us today?
So, yeah, like we talked about last week, we did the medicine ball slam, talking about the benefits behind that.
Crazy exercise.
Yeah. Now it's more of our non-traditional exercise. Now we're going to kind of shift gears and talk about some more body weight style exercise. And the exercise of the week today is going to be a chin-up.
Awesome.
And
a favorite of mine.
Yeah,
one of my favorites. Yeah.
And I thought you would enjoy this. So I actually got some history about the exercise. I thought, you know what?
Excellent. Thank you, man. You know I like the history of this stuff.
And you'll also appreciate this. I found that the chin-up actually was kind of founded in the 1700s in Prussia.
Oh, wow.
And mainly for gymnastics. And I know you have a great history with gymnastics.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, definitely.
Your roots. And so.
Right. I didn't know it was, that's interesting. I didn't know it was born out of gymnastics. I kind of thought it would be the other way around, but that's pretty awesome.
Right, yeah. So that was kind of one of their, bread and butter exercises for preparing for gymnastics. And then during the 1940s, that's when it really became popular in mainstream fitness, right?
Okay.
With the boom of the bodybuilding era,
right,
with all your bodybuilding guys, and then whenever the Army incorporated it into some of their fitness regimens,
sure,
kind of gearing into the world wars and things like that, it's trying to get prepared for the draft, things like that. So that was really, it was like, oh, okay, this isn't just a gymnastics exercise.
Yeah, you
start seeing all of the fitness world start to incorporate the.
You're reaching back as far as like Charles Atlas. I mean, this is early on and build up, and then I would think it goes into the military. I see so many old videos of military training and fitness training for it, and pull-ups, chin-ups were always in there. So why don't we show everybody what we're talking about?
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
Yeah, walk us through this exercise.
Today we're going to talk about the chin-up. Start with a neutral or underhand grip with your arms fully extended. Then you're going to brace your core and pull yourself up to the top. Think about trying to pull your elbows into your rib cage and then control it all the way down to the bottom. Be sure to try this out in your next workout and give us some feedback on what you think.
Awesome, simple enough. I think you have to be living under a rock if you haven't seen that particular exercise. But tell us a little more about it, pal.
Yeah, so we're going to get into some of the benefits.
Sure.
Why is a chin up good for you? Why should people be doing them, right? Why are we talking about it? And so for one, I just start. It's a very easy learning curve to do a chin up, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You start with the arms all the way straight. You pull yourself up, chin all the way up to the bar, and then you go back down. So, and we can kind of get into this. You get the whole like chin up, pull up, right? What's
that's you hear those names, and they're almost like used interchangeably. What is your interpretation of the difference between a chin up and a pull up?
Yeah, so from my point of view, I see a chin up as an underhand grip version of a pull up. So a pull up would be an overhand grip. You're holding your palms away from you, and then you flip them around face towards you whenever you're doing a chin up.
Right.
The same idea is with both. You start with your arms fully extended, and then you pull yourself up all the way to the bar, and you want to try to get that chin all the way up above the bar, and then back down.
Yeah, and that interpretation you have for a chin up and pull up is the same one I've always used. An undergrip for a chin up and overgrip. Why don't we just make that a law? Let's go ahead and enter it into Wikipedia, and that'll be a law from now on.
That would be easier just for just communication purposes, when you're trying to talk about it. But so easy learning curve. I think that is a huge one. Just teaching. That's one of the first exercises that we teach, starting with our youth development program, is just working in body weight exercises. So a chin up is one that we start to progress them with.
Right.
Building off of that is, it's great for increasing relative body strength.
Right.
We've talked about that some on the podcast before, but your strength relative to your body weight. And
I think it's a fantastic exercise as far as measurement of am I in shape? It's I've always told clients that that if you can always do pull-ups, you're pretty well going to be in shape as far as it's kind of a thumbnail sketch of it, but it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a key indicator on whether or not it's like, okay, can I handle my own body weight? Because at the end of the day, when you're going through life, and there's all kind of tasks that you have to perform where, if you can't handle your own body weight, it's going to be an issue. It's going to be a challenge. And so that's definitely a goal that I think a lot of our clients come in and say, hey, so what's a physical goal that you'd like to work on? A lot of that is I want to be able to do a body weight chin up.
Right. Yeah.
Something I think is really cool about our facility is we have the assisted chin up machine that we have, which is a great way to progress that. I think,
sure.
A lot of times there's different ways you can progress a chin up, and we'll get into that in a little bit later. But with what we have to offer, there's different ways to add assistance rather than the other traditional ways, and I think that it's a great way to get better at being able to do.
Well, you've got the assisted chin dip machine that you're talking about. I'm a big fan of that. So the very first one on the market actually was put out by Stairmaster. It's called a Gravitron, and I just thought it was the neatest thing because I'm a big fan of that exercise. But there's other ways to assist too in a pull up. Doing a pull up, so
there most definitely is. So I like to use bands.
Right.
You strap a band to the top and then put your feet in it, and then as you pull up, the band gives you assistance. But then as you go back down, you get less assistance. So it kind of compensates for the way up, but that way on the way down, you're not getting that assistance. So you get to work a little bit of that negative portion of the lift a little bit more.
Well, talking about the physiology of it, what and anatomy of it for that matter. What's our primary mover? What are we working on for that in that particular exercise?
So similar to the medicine ball slam that we talked about, your lats are going to be one of the primary movers of this exercise because it's a similar motion.
Sure.
And again, you and I talked about this. A good cue for whenever you're doing a chin up is you don't necessarily want to think about pulling yourself up, but think about really driving that elbow down to your rib cage. That often helps people kind of make that mind muscle connection a little better.
Definitely making the mind muscle connection. I also find that it helps people maintain form. If they think more about pulling, they're going to try to contract that body. They're going to try to roll those abs, which is it's hard to contract. From what I understand, it's hard to contract the lats if you don't have that back slightly arched, that chest up, that head up, and if you're concentrate on driving your elbows down, you're typically going to get more into that position, if I'm correct.
Most definitely.
What about secondary movers?
So your biceps, obviously, with that underhand grip, you're going to have more bicep involvement rather than if you had your palms facing away from you.
Sure.
So you're going to have more bicep involvement. That's typically why most people are able to do a chin up before they can do a pull up. If that makes sense, just because you're having more assistance from your biceps.
Right.
Another one that people might not think about as much is your core.
Yeah.
I know we talk about your core a lot and how much how big of a role it plays when it comes to exercise, but it's kind of interesting. It's a little bit funny because whenever we're doing the assisted pull up and I go to transition somebody off of that, they're standing on that little step,
Yeah.
So whenever you take that away from them, they're used to having that kind of support their legs, and so their legs kind of swing away from them. They're like, whoa, because they're not used to having to brace their core as much when they're pulling. And then I'm like, all right, just be prepared. Your legs are going to swing if you're not ready for it.
Exactly.
So that's just one thing that you kind of have to learn as you transition, as you progress.
Sure.
Keeping those abs tights and those legs from swinging as you're pulling, because if your legs are swinging at the bottom and your momentum is going back and forth, it's going to be very hard to pull yourself up. And
most of people think of when they're doing this, they think of the lats, the bat wings, of the body. But you've got some other back exercises, muscles in there. The rhomboids, obviously involved there. I guess also you would say probably close to the hands are together. You're probably getting a little more rhomboid engagement.
Right.
And then like you said, core. So we got lower back and traps. The whole 9 yards. So cool. All right. Why would somebody do this? What do they? What take us from our kids to somebody general exerciser all the way up to seniors, athletes, whatever. What would we use this for?
Well, I'll start off with athletes. Just cause,
that's your territory, man. It's your wheelhouse.
My bread and butter. So, especially for any kind of overhead athletes, you really want to build up that area around your shoulder, right? Because the more you use those areas, the more likely they are to develop, overuse injuries if those structures aren't supported by muscles.
Absolutely.
And so, overhead athletes, any kind of chin up, pull up, thing of that nature is very important, just to building up that muscle around that joint, just to help reinforce, as you continue to get older and you start to, get in a higher level of that sport.
Right.
But then again, it's not, like you said, it's not only relevant to athletes. I mean, you want to see this in your everyday life, because there's plenty of things that you're doing where you're lifting your arms up over your head, or you're having to pull yourself up over something. And this is just a great exercise to develop, what
stability in the back.
Yeah, I mean, so your posterior chain. I mean, just
period.
that, you're not your mirror muscles. You know, we talk about the front side's your mirror muscles. That's what everybody wants to develop is your mirror muscles because that's what you see.
Right.
But, you know, I've said it before on this podcast is in order for power to happen, you have to have stability, right?
Right.
And you can't shoot a cannon out of a canoe.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that idea
exactly.
if you're not on something stable, you're not going to have as much power. And so, and, you know, most people might be like, well, why do I need power? You know, like I don't play the sport anymore. But I mean, when it comes to balance, right? If you're not as stable, your brain is automatically going to kind of inhibit those
and
muscles
overcompensate and whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
So like in order for you to have good balance, you need to be stable. In order for you to be stable, those stabilizing muscles in your posterior chain need to be, you know, strong and engaged. And so that's just another reason to keep those trained. And
if you're looking for a vanity reason, because you did say mirror muscles being the front side, I understand that. But if you're looking for vanity, that V shape that the latissimus dorsi creates literally makes your waist look smaller.
Oh, it does,
whether it's or not, it does make your waist look smaller. And so there's a vanity reason here, and vanity is my favorite sin. So, all right, seniors doing a pull-up or developing that part of the back. Why? Posterior chain, definitely balance. But wouldn't that have something to do with posture itself?
I was about to say, most seniors that we work with that come in here, the one thing they want to hear is posture, right? Everybody, I want to come in, I want to fix my posture, I want to be able to pull my shoulders back. If you want to have good posture, I'd say chin-ups is one of the main exercises I'd recommend you doing. Now,
absolutely.
And the thing is, you know, some people might have shoulder considerations, right? And
of course.
There's plenty of ways that we can work around that. I mean, the chin-up isn't the end-all be-all, right? No. It's not like if you can't do chin-ups, then you can't have good posture. You know, it's not a definite statement, but I think it is one of the best bang for your buck exercises.
Absolutely.
That, you know, if you are able to do it, that's one of the ones I would recommend.
And there's several ways to progress into it. Not just like you said, assisted chin dip, doing the bands, but also using the Smith machine. Doing pulls that way, horizontal pulls.
Yep.
And so really, I don't know. There's really nobody that comes in here that you haven't been able to work some variation of that progression.
Oh,
correct?
Most definitely. Yeah, I mean, we can always find some variation to work it in, right?
Right.
And I have a progression that I wanted to share with the listeners.
Oh yeah,
please.
Please. Yeah, absolutely.
If you're wondering, like, man, like I've always wanted to be able to do a bodyweight chin up, but I don't exactly know how. Well, I'm going to give you your roadmap right now.
Great,
so
awesome, perfect. This is it. Yeah, write this down.
Notes. So, the first thing, this is progression that I came along just through my own study, and I think I found it to work really well. So the first thing you want to start with, if you can't do a bodyweight chin up, is you want to start with a dead hang. Right. Now, a dead hang is just, literally hanging from the bar, arms straight, legs straight. You just want to get acclimated to holding your own body weight, okay? Sure. So you want to hold that anywhere from, 10 to 25 seconds, just kind of accumulating time. Right. And once you're able to do that for, anywhere from 25, 30 seconds, a little bit higher up there, then you want to transition to pauses, okay? Okay. So you're going to add some pauses in at the top. So you'll hop up there and you'll hold it at the top. Sure. Again, and you want to work up to anywhere 10 to 25, 30 seconds. And then once you get to the point where you can do that, then you're going to want to transition into some eccentric lowers. Right. So basically lowering yourself down, the negative as we say. Yeah. So lowering yourself down into that bottom position, really trying to slow it down as slow as you possibly can. Right. And then you're going to add a little combination. So you're going to do a little pause at the top, hold it, and then again, slowly lower. Right. But notice we haven't tried pulling up yet, right? So some people, they only want to focus on the pull up or the chin up, but we're just focusing on the pause at the top and then the control at the bottom. Exactly. Once you get pretty comfortable doing that and you're like, all right, I can hang up there good, I can control it down, I'm not just, flopping down to the bottom. Right. Then we start to say, okay, now let's try to pull up. And you'd be surprised as you go through that progression over the course of a few weeks, whenever they try to pull up, they just sometimes just shoot up there. Right, yeah, like, exactly. Where did that come from? Like, I have this this client that I'm working with, when I think of this in particular, we've been working on bodyweight chin up for a while. Right. And we've been working on our pauses, we've been working on our negatives. And then one day I was like, you know what? It's about time. Let's give it a shot. Let's just try it. And then she does it. I was like, wow. And she's like, I was like, can you do another one? does another one. She ended up doing 5 chin-ups.
Awesome,
And I was
awesome.
like,
That's
just
huge.
a few weeks ago, you couldn't do 1. Then
Right,
you just did
right.
5. And,
Right.
she was grinning ear to
Right.
ear.
I'm
But,
sure.
So, yeah,
I'm
if
sure.
you're interested and you want to know, like, how do I do this?
Right,
I think that's
right.
a great roadmap to get you started.
Absolutely. And actually, that progression, that's excellent progression there. But think about it. If you can't even hold yourself up there, well, it's a way you can actually bring it lower than that. And that's what I was talking about, using the Smith machine, doing the horizontal bar pulls or whatever.
Yep.
That's what I like about it. A lot of people are scared of this exercise because they feel like you said, in order to do it, I've got to do 1 pull-up. No, you can start slower than that and build up to it. But excellent one, especially like I was saying, just to know whether or not you're in good shape. Besides all the other benefits you were talking about as far as balance, posterior chain, it's a great rule of thumb of whether or not you can do a pull-up and what have you. So. Yeah. Listen, fantastic exercise. I actually love that. If you have any questions about that, don't think twice about reaching out to Charlie directly. He is our exercise coordinator here. He can break those down even farther for you. Contact him at area code 251-341-0927. You can also reach him at Charlie, CHARLIE at personalizedfitness.com. Chin up, our fantastic exercise of the week. Appreciate you joining us today, Charlie.
Thank you.